You're hanging out with
Wait,
comic books
wait,
from coast
wait,
to
wait,
coast.
wait. We're not live, are we?
Yeah, mine says live. My ticker is counting. We're 16 seconds
Oh,
in.
yeah. I'm 2 seconds in. 4 seconds. All right. Do your spiel.
All right. You're hanging out with Joe Leonardo and Alexander Turbin. This is comic books from coast to coast. It's a icy Sunday. This is America under a blanket of frozen winter, I guess. Over here I'm on the California, I'm on the East Coast. It's actually a pretty nice, crisp day for me. I know a lot of people out there in the snow. I hope everybody's staying safe. I hope everybody's staying warm. Gonna hang out and look at a cool comic book. And maybe this might be the exact right thing, people need on an icy day because we're looking at Havoc and Wolverine Meltdown, #1.
So, did you got this in 1988 when it first came out?
Every comic book in my collection I bought when it came out. There is
Right.
nothing that I
You
buy,
don't have any
you
you don't
know.
have any back issues. You've never gone into the back issues and gotten back
Nope.
issue stuff. Never.
I have not bought comic books in 20 years,
Right,
dude. You
right,
know what I
right.
mean?
But before that, you've never like got
No,
back issues from the 70s or whatever in the dollar bin or anything like that?
no,
Huh.
nope,
Huh.
never. I'm just a
Uh,
what came out this week kind of guy.
huh. A Wednesday warrior is what
That's it, dude. Like
Ed used to call us.
I never, you know what I mean? Like I've been collecting on and off since I was a kid in the 70s,
Right.
Like I started just like buying comics and reading them because, there wasn't that much media in the 70s, you know what I mean? Like there was only when I grew up there was only 3 TV channels and we only got 2 of them. And you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Same
I
with us.
use comic books to, like keep myself interested and stuff. And then I love drawing, and I had a lot of art in my family. A lot of my older brothers could all draw, so I would, make them draw pictures and stuff for me. And comic books was just a natural part of that or whatever. And then one day I had so many of them stacked all around my room. My mom was like, "Oh, if you put all these together, in some place you would have a cool collection." And I was like, "Whoa!" Like
Yeah,
she's right.
collection.
I was like, "I have a collection." You
do
know what I
your
mean?
do your brothers draw comics or
No,
anything
no,
else?
no, 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 no. As a matter of fact, none of them do any of that. But when they were kids growing up, they drew
Yeah.
like my one brother would always do those that pirate, with the eye patch that they would ask you to draw in the comics. Like, do you have talent? Can you
Oh yeah, yeah. And the
can you
turtle. Yeah,
yeah, can you recreate these? And he would
yeah.
like draw those all the time. And I would always ask him, could you draw the pirate for me? Like, will you draw
Yeah.
me the rabbit? Like
That's funny.
so like and
Hey, we've
sometimes he
got
would
12
draw.
viewers.
Oh, right on. That's cool. Thank you for everybody for stopping by. And yeah, he would like sometimes I would have them draw little like stick men, like a little stick Superman or kind of little
Yeah,
stick Aquaman, and then I would color them and I would cut them out of the paper, and then I would play with them like toys or whatever, kind of
yeah,
when I was
yeah,
really little.
yeah. I hear you.
So I'm a kid of the 70s, and like comics is just a sort of natural evolution of all that kind of thinking, I think. You know what I mean? And then just like once I had all my comics in a little area, like I had them all in like a little drawer, it just seemed natural to keep on going. But I've always sold like I sold all this stuff off in the like when I hit my teenage years and I was like, you know, I was gonna be a pro surfer, I was gonna be a pro skater or something like that, and I was always like trying to buy weed, because I was a little troublemaker and I was like selling my comics all the time,
Yeah,
trying to get marijuana. You know what I mean? I would like
yeah,
sell it so I could get ate the weed and sold all my like GI Joes and all my original freaking Teen Titans. You know what I mean? And just like
yeah.
all my original stuff that I had that would have been, it was worth so much money. Like honestly, dude, I was going through my collection recently, and I have some books that are worth crazy amounts of money, like the original. I have like original cherry pop tart #1. It's almost impossible to find. That
Yeah.
thing's worth
Is
like
it?
$6,000. You know what I
It's
mean?
gotta
Like
be. It's gotta be a good condition, though. Are they in good
it's
condition?
in like
That's the thing.
almost mint condition, dude. It's
Is
just like
it's in
like
it's in cherry condition?
it's in pretty nice condition, man. And even still, dude, like you'd still get $700 or $800 for it, $900 for it, or something. You know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
if it was a little dog-eared or whatever. I'm just saying, like I have quite a few books like that are worth like significant, and I have like a lot of Silver Age horror. You know what I mean? I have tons of House of Horrors, and like some of those older ones can be worth quite a bit of money, dude. It's trippy. I didn't even
One
realize
of
that
these
stuff was
one of
worth
these
so much.
episodes, we should each pick a long box and go through them and check out the stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I
Most of
recently got a raise at my work, so I'm going to be buying all new bags and stuff, and
oh
doing
yeah,
like a whole
yeah,
new boxing of all my stuff again. Kind of
yeah.
what do they
Whenever
call
I
that?
do that, I end up bagging a few and reading more than I bag.
Yeah, I plan on getting the whole family involved and helping me in like a single day. I'm gonna get both of my daughters down here and both of their husbands and see if we can't knock it out in just a day.
That's cool. That would be
But
cool.
yeah, today we're looking
So we're
at
looking at Meltdown.
an icy day across America. We're looking at Meltdown.
Yeah.
Some weird
And
irony
and
happening there.
and you did not love it. You did not enjoy it. You didn't even like it.
I mean, I didn't really even like it, if I'm being perfectly honest. But
Huh.
it's all right. It's not the worst thing in the world, but
See,
man, this
when I read it back in 1988, the first time I got it, I was of the same opinion. I did not really enjoy it at all. But now
I did,
I just read it today, reread it today, and I really like it. I'm reading the second and third one now.
yeah, I didn't
I
like it.
really enjoy it, especially the beginning part where you were saying that you didn't like it, where it's talking about um, how the meltdown actually happens. Now, this isn't like, did you see that miniseries on HBO about Chernobyl?
Yeah,
Um, this isn't like that. This is more of a guide as to exactly how some of the meltdown happened. And in this, it's like almost like it's like a terrorist kind of thing, or it's like
yeah. This is a
somebody
fictional
meant to
event.
do it. Right,
Yeah,
right,
this is like adding a fictional element to the reality of it or whatever. But
right.
you didn't find it confusing, the way the dates bounce back and forth, the way the times bounce back and forth. You didn't find that
No,
confusing?
the only thing I found slightly confusing was the narration with in black is actually the bad guy. I thought the narration in black was the yellow guys talking, but other than that, I didn't find it confusing at all. I thought it was really interesting, especially the guys in yellow. I don't think that they should have been in yellow. I think they should have been in red if they're going to use
I
silhouettes
hated
like
that
that.
too. I hated the yellow thing.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't like the yellow, but yeah, like the beginning is all talking about how nuclear fusion works, fission or whatever, and then they're talking about all of these different methods of keeping it cool because they're doing this experiment. I can't remember if that was really what happened. If they really did an experiment, I don't think it was. Um, I think it
Yeah,
just kind of happened. Did it just happen? I can't
I
remember.
watched it a while ago. I couldn't tell you it accurately, like exactly why, whatever it was, but
Right, right.
yeah, I can't remember either. But I don't think it had anything to do with this. But like some of the visuals in here did remind me a little bit of Oppenheimer or whatever.
Oh yeah, you're way ahead of me. Um, but
I'm just flicking through it.
yeah, I enjoyed this beginning part. I thought the writing was really nice. I went into it thinking because like you, I read it the first time and I didn't really enjoy it that much. Walter Simonson is my favorite comic book artist. Um, he is not one of my favorite writers. He's done some really good stuff like oh, what's that thing that DC did with the uh, Dark Side and the what the heck is that? Anyway, he's done
I
a few
don't
things that
know. Since DC's done a lot of stuff with Darkseid, I mean, you have to be more
no, yeah,
specific.
but he did that four book prestige format where Dark Side is trying to get the ultimate death or whatever,
I
um,
don't know. I
and
think
all
that's
of the
what all he really
superheroes get
does, as far as I
together.
know. But yeah,
The superheroes,
I know he did like. Didn't he write the Thor Ragnarok stuff? Didn't he write all that?
he well, he wrote Thor. I mean, he wrote all the Thors, and I really love
That's what
those.
I mean. Like
But
all.
other than that, like his writing was never really the greatest part of his storytelling to me. It was always his art because it always just far outstretches his writing. But I really enjoyed this. But the writing is him and his wife, Louise
Yeah, I
Simonson.
know that.
So we
It
don't
makes
know
me
who
wonder.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Who did what? And there's another thing about the credits that is really, really interesting. I don't know if you noticed it, but John J. Booth does the Havoc art, and Kent Williams does the Wolverine art.
Oh yeah, I
I think that
noticed. They're two totally
I think
different
that
dudes. You know?
yeah, I think that is totally interesting. I really like the Wolverine art. I don't love the Havoc art, and that's probably why I wasn't thrilled with this book in the when I first read it. But I
Yeah,
really enjoyed this part, especially the interspersed of this. You know, the beginning with the yellow guys, it's I think it's supposed to be very cold and methodical, and they're just kind of explaining things in a very mechanical kind of way, and I think that's why it's all in silhouette and stuff. But it's interspersed with these real life looking. I don't know, panels of like his hand and stuff that look like almost photographic. They're so well painted.
they're playing a chess match. I don't know if I'd say it's
Right.
photographic, but there's
Well,
obviously this whole book
it's
is
got
done with reference.
it's got well, that's the thing. The
Yeah, I mean,
Havoc
whatever,
stuff
you
is
know.
super reference. The Wolverine stuff I don't think is, and I think that's why I didn't really like it. But let's wait until we actually get to some of that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
I
say
feel like all
I
this is a
wouldn't.
super reference. You know what I mean? Like I
Well,
would say, like
I would say this stuff is super reference, but it's not photographic, but it's like it's got that, you know,
it's got
it's
the
watercolor
it's Bill
photo
Sienkiewicz, dude.
realism.
He's just like doing that Bill Sienkiewicz thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? This
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I mean, they're both vibing on Bill Sienkiewicz 80%. You know, is what it is. You know, and then a little
Right,
bit of their own
right.
whatever dash of their own thing in there.
Well, no, they have their own style. I think they started doing their stuff earlier than Sikevich, so I think he probably was ripping off of them more than they were ripping off of him.
Yeah,
Like the
I
original.
honestly, yeah, I wouldn't know, you know, like who was here first, you know what I mean? I know
Well,
Sienkiewicz goes way
do you
back,
have
you know,
any
like
do you have Moon Shadow?
Moon Shadow.
Moon Shadow is a 12 issue epic comic that I believe John J. Muth did.
No, I have no idea what that even is.
Or Ken Williams, and they also did Blood, which I think came out before this. I'm not entirely sure. Um,
No,
but
not
yeah,
familiar.
I think the Moon Shadow stuff came out before New Mutants, which is when Sienkiewicz started doing his crazy stuff.
You,
But
you,
I'll actually have to look into that and see who came first. But I really enjoyed the story. Um,
are you
leading
talking
up
about Moon
to
Knight? Is that what you're talking about?
nope,
Moon Knight?
nope, nope. Moon Shadow.
Okay.
Look up Moon Shadow after it. It's
Yeah,
an
so I
epic.
don't know.
It's all painted and stuff.
Mm-mm. But yeah, this
Uh,
stuff's all right. I mean, like, if anything, it's this stuff right here that I think is pretty good. You know, what I mean, like these are the pages that I liked over here. Like, you know, the other stuff is totally detaching and not interesting at all. You know, like
the
I don't
yellow.
understand like why they chose this. You know, weird. Like, obviously these are just like cutouts that they're spray painting down or something. You know what I mean? Because I
Well,
don't think any of this is done digitally. All this is painted by hand. You know.
none of this is digital. This is 88.
Yeah, this is
But
all painted. You know.
they do that. I mean, they do the silhouettes specifically, I think, because they're trying to show. Actually, the yellow kind of makes sense when you're thinking of nuclear reactor because you've got that blue. I mean, that black and yellow radiation sign. So that kind of makes
Yeah,
sense a little bit.
and
Um,
even beyond
but
that, no, not to cut you off or anything, but even
yeah,
beyond that, there's the element of like when when radiation flashes, there's that thing where the shadow will just get burned on the wall, and all you'll
yeah,
have is the
yeah.
silhouette of the person or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But
So it's a little bit like that,
I
you
also
know.
think that they're supposed to be Russian cogs in the machine. So
Oh yeah,
they're faceless, servants of the Soviet Union. This is also, I mean, this is very close to when the Soviet Union breaks up. So I think that they're doing a lot of exposition and deconstruction of why. Of course, it is. I mean, they talk about Gorbachev and
yeah.
the bad guys are against Gorbachev. So it's really, kind of
Yeah, they
dissecting
talk about
why
how
the
this is
Soviet
like
Union
one of the
breaks
main
up.
elements that starts to unravel his regime or whatever, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that I think that
And
is super interesting.
and this is all the memory, you know, the painting, you know, the Banksy-esque silhouettes, which are like total
Yeah.
Banksy, I guess, or maybe Banksy saw this and was like, "This is a great idea."
Oh
And
yeah.
then these are like these pencils and these ink, these like watercolors. That's the here and now. And these
Yeah.
guys are playing a chess match, and you know,
Yeah.
we're listening to their discussion or whatever, and we're seeing their discussion stuff, you know, in these like pseudo flashbacks of these faceless, you know, Russian bureaucrats or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
that they're
So I
doing
I
some
really
regular.
I really enjoyed it. I especially the writing. I really enjoyed the writing. I thought
Well,
the dialogue between all of these yellow
I
characters,
hated
they
it.
they
Like I
really,
hated this
but
whole sequence.
it was so realistic. It
But
was
yeah,
realistic
you know,
dialogue.
there was like, you know, there's that cool. I like the part, you know, there. I mean, it's very comprehensive as far as that goes. You know what I mean? Like, and I, you know, basically anyone can understand what they're saying for the most part. And the tricky part, which was probably pretty good, is about how like, oh, they're just going through their tests. And the machine is telling them that everything is going wrong, and they're like, "Well, no, the machine just doesn't understand what we're doing.
Right. Right.
uh, you know, just ignore it or whatever is basically
Yeah.
what they say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but then you know the narrator here back in the chess match is like, oh, they're operating under the idea that all the natural chemicals that normally are not reactive when the thing is running at its right temperatures are not volatile to the system. But now that it's no longer running at their temperatures, there's these elemental, you know, obscurities inside the system that will begin to react in harmful, negative ways that they're not taking into account for
Right.
because they're
Right.
used to them always being there. But under normal circumstances, they don't, you know, react negatively. But because they're running the system so hot for so long, these normally, you know, uh, things that don't cause any problems are all of a sudden going to be the reason why everything's going to go haywire and blow up in their faces, and they just don't realize it. And that was a pretty cool little thing they slid in the writing, you know,
Yeah.
which
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of brought it all together and made it make really good sense, you know.
Yeah. These two
And I
pages,
did, like I
though,
said, I liked these. Like these things
I
reminded
don't
me
like
of
these.
Oppenheimer.
I
Like, you know what I
don't
mean?
like these at all.
Like those I liked, you know, these I like. Remember, like, I don't know if you watched Oppenheimer, but like, you know,
I
whenever he's like,
started it. I didn't finish it.
whenever he's like talking about it, or whenever he's like
Yeah.
having a revelation in thought, you know, like Chris Nolan's got these explosions that are just like pseudo going off in the background around because it's like his imagination like exploding as he gets the ideas or whatever, you know, is kind
Yeah.
of the, you know, the concept or whatever. So I
See,
mean, you know,
I think they needed more detail, more explosion like this is an explosion and this is supposed to be like a symbolic of an explosion. So I guess I understand that, but the explosion here, I feel like they could have used way more detail in the actual explosion part.
but
I
yeah,
mean, this is a big part. Like this
this
is
is the
almost
roof
a double
actually
page
coming
spread.
off, you know, and I believe
Yeah.
this is an atom splitting. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
You know, you look at it and it has the nuclear reactor
Yeah. Yeah.
symbol superimposed on top of it, and that is, I believe, you know, meant to be the atom and the neutron. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
electrons, and then we're seeing it break apart. You know,
Yeah,
as they
and so
achieve the
I think
fusion.
these two pages, I think they needed more detail, more effort. Like you can tell when watercolor artists are not putting in full effort, and these two
Well,
pages
this
here are
this
not
is not
full effort.
watercolors; these are oils of some kind. I mean, you can see
No,
how
no,
this
no,
is.
no, no. These are everything here is watercolor.
No way, dude.
100,
This is not
100%.
watercolor.
No, yeah,
No
yeah.
way.
Everything
Nah.
here is watercolor.
I
Yeah.
100% disagree with you
No,
on this,
no,
dude.
no, that's definitely
I
when
don't
you
agree with you.
add white, it turns watercolor into gouache. So this part is gouache, but everything in here is
I don't know.
watercolor.
Yeah, this definitely is gouache for
Definitely.
sure, right here. But you know, I don't know. I
Like
don't
this
know,
part
man.
here, yeah, no, It's
I mean, I definitely agree
definitely
with these being
watercolor.
watercolor. These are watercolor and pencil,
No,
but
everything, everything, especially
I
these pages
disagree.
here. Like
We have to disagree on that one, Alex.
look, you can see the watercolor,
That's
kind
watercolor.
of
Yeah, that is. Yes,
the whole book's
I just got
watercolor.
to no. The whole thing isn't.
Yeah,
These flashbacks are, but the whole thing isn't. So we're just gonna have to
yeah,
disagree
yeah.
on
Well,
that, though.
I guess we'll have to agree to disagree unless we can figure out anybody out there know for
Yeah,
certain
that's I love. Like, if anybody
what's
out there does have
watercolor.
intimate knowledge of this, would love to hear
Yeah,
from you on that. Is this
I
stuff oil?
wonder.
Is it all watercolor?
I wonder if cartoonist kayfabe ever went through this. You would think that they would. You'd think that they would,
you
but
know,
I don't
can't
know.
can't agree on everything all the time. You know what I mean? Come on.
No, no.
Like, and then, like, even on these things back here, there's this interesting, like, this is all airbrush. You know what I mean? That's some sort of airbrush spray. That's happening. Those are
Yeah.
also being created with filters. Or with, like, not filters. What am I saying? With cutouts or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, all this stuff is being with, like, cutouts or something. Like these, like,
Uh,
spraying
uh,
silhouettes. And.
no, I don't think it is.
Yeah, all the background stuff is. I mean, not this little yellow stuff. That's all probably done with rulers or something, and like
Yeah.
brush pins or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, all this stuff has got to be like some sort of airbrush back here because he's got all these weird,
This might
like
be, yeah,
like
this
this
might be
stuff.
airbrush. It's got that texture-ish kind of
It looks
stuff.
like when you
But
do this with spray cans. You know what I mean? Like when you put a piece of cardboard down and spray next
right,
to it or whatever.
right,
Like
right.
Trippy is very experimental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably why I didn't like it very much as a kid. Like it's just too odd. But even this stuff up here, I'm not crazy about it. And all this stuff, like
No.
half of it looks like Bill Sienkiewicz, like he's just like vibing Bill Sienkiewicz hard. And then the other half looks like it's like drawn directly from like Rebel Without a Cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
See,
he's like
that is was my biggest problem when I was first reading this and reading it now. You're right. He looks exactly like James Dean. And like, if you're going to use somebody else's artwork, that's fine, or whatever. You're going to use reference, that's fine. But you should change it and make it your own. You know?
yeah, dude, like that's not even like dude, like that is like literally
Yeah,
James Dean, like both of
yeah,
these are.
yeah. And then
Like,
you have this. You have this page here, this panel here, which is just superimposed from this page here. Now this I love. This I love the
oh,
Wolverine
you're
stuff
right. You know what,
because
dude? Like good eye. I didn't even catch
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
I
didn't
mean,
even
it's
realize
yeah,
that.
it's the same thing superimposed, and I really hate that. It's kind of like why I hate He-Man so much is because they would use the same frames over and over and over again, and I'm like, I may be 9 years old watching this, but you can't fool me. I'm not a friggin' idiot.
Did you hate the
You're using the same
Flintstones?
stuff over and over again.
I was like, did you hate the Flintstones when they walked through their living room 3 times when they'd be walking, they
Yeah,
passed through
yeah.
the
They
same
see
living room four
that
times
kind
or
of stuff.
whatever?
That kind of stuff pisses me off. But this is
Yeah.
gorgeous. This is beautiful. This is why I got the book. I'm not a big fan of Havoc anyway. He's just the whiny little bitch of Cyclops, his brother. Um, so I'm not a huge Havoc fan anyway. So I got it for Wolverine. I think 99% of the people got it for that. I mean, how many
You know,
Havoc fans are out there?
I just got it because it was painted. I think I probably back in the day. And, like, I'm always a guy who chases the art, and probably right off the back, this stuff, I probably was a little impressed by it. You know what I mean? But looking at it now, dude, like, I don't really like that Wolverine very
I love
much. You
it.
know what I
I love
mean?
it. I
Like,
think it's weird. It's bizarre. I'd never
it
seen his
is
hair
that.
done like that. He
It
looks a
reminds
little
me of
Cro-Magnon-y. I
it
love it.
reminds me
I
of
think it's
the Sam
fantastic.
Keith Wolverine. Yeah, dude, it
A
reminds me of
a
the
little
Sam.
bit. Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
if you try to do a live action version of the Sam Keith Wolverine. You know what I mean? It's kind of
yeah,
what it
yeah,
reminds me of.
yeah.
And
And
a lot of stuff
as
is
I was,
weird. Like those legs are kind of wonky or whatever, and that arms, those
I
arms
love
are
it.
like hella
I think it's
long, dude.
fantastic.
Like, dude, like that's some straight up Danny DeVito like proportions. Like if you put that arm down, it's gonna go all the way down to that freaking ankle. You know what I mean, dude?
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. We're just gonna, like you said, we're probably just gonna have to agree to disagree because I mean
It's
I love
great
it.
art. It's
One of
still cool. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's not rad because it is
right,
totally. I mean, it's
right.
beautifully painted. You know what I mean?
One of the
But it's got some
one of the
pretty
things
wonky proportions happening there.
One of the things, oh yeah, the proportions are definitely dramatic and elongated, and
Well,
but
dude, he looks
that's
like
what I love
David.
about it.
Like
That's what I
he's
love
so
about
like
it.
his legs are so short and his arms are way
Yeah,
long, bro.
yeah, yeah.
Like those arms are
I know,
crazy long. Like,
I know. That's why I love it. It's not just the same old Wolverine being drawn like Wolverine, the
oh
same
yeah,
thing over
yeah,
and over
yeah,
again.
for
It's
sure.
different. It's unique.
It
It's
is.
unusual.
It's
But one
totally
of
its
the
own
things I
thing.
noticed about these things is that the closer in they get to an object, whether it's a face or whatever, the more detail it is. So I think that I like that more. But the further they get away from things, the less detail they put into it,
Well,
and I
yeah.
kind of
See,
feel
like
like the less effort they
that's
put
the
into it.
Sienkiewicz thing. Like, see the way he'll be like, "Oh, I really want to draw this, and here's another drawing of James Dean, and I'm gonna just kind of get looser as I go into the bar." And then this guy right here is just like a pencil sketch almost with
Well,
just some
well,
like,
here's the
you
thing.
know,
When you're painting something like this, I mean, I can only imagine how long this took. This probably took a year's. This one issue probably took a year, maybe, or maybe the whole four thing took a year, maybe more than that. When you're painting something like this, you have to kind of pick and choose what you're going to add in the detail, because if you just try to put amazing amount of detail into everything, then you're just going to take 10 years to draw a comic book.
yeah, I guess. I mean, whatever,
Yeah.
like, dude, like, and this is supposed to be that's supposed to be a person right there. You know what I mean? Like, that's a guy.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
his head. There's his
yeah,
hand. I mean, you
yeah,
have to look really hard to get that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
I
you know,
mean, there's a certain amount of artsy fartsiness to it,
that's what I
obviously.
mean. Yeah,
Like you got this.
that's the Sienkiewicz thing. That's what I mean when it's like, God, he's vibing on that Sienkiewicz thing. So there's a little bit of like high art, coming into here or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
where
I
they're like,
mean, this kind of thing. Simon Bisley does this kind of thing like all the time. And
yeah,
I've
for sure.
actually I've
Bisley too.
actually heard that he was pressed for time doing something like this, and he left just the pencils, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just going to leave it and see what they say,"
Slane,
and they loved it.
Slane,
So
Slane has
yeah,
a bunch of stuff like that in
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Slane definitely has a bunch of stuff like that. These figures right here feel very Sienkiewicz, very, Bisley, all this stuff feels like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
especially when they
it's
pull far
painted.
away.
Painted is painted. It is what it is. You
These
know.
little figures right here, very Sienkiewicz, very Bisley or whatever. These
Yeah.
guys look like they could be in that shadow thing you did that I absolutely hated. You were like, "Oh, the art, this is so good." Like, I hated that Simon Bisley shadow thing you were looking at. That was
Oh,
awful.
the Sienkiewicz Bisley.
Yeah,
I mean, this the Sienkiewicz shadow.
Sienkiewicz. Yeah, Bisley
You,
were
you
yeah,
didn't,
Sienkiewicz working on the shadow. Yeah,
yeah, you didn't
that
like
was
that.
terrible. I
Oh,
love the
I loved
shadow,
it.
dude, but like, I was just that's the worst looking shadow
There
I've
were
ever
certain
seen in my
things.
life,
There were
dude.
certain. I loved the whole thing, but there were certain things that I thought were truly brilliant. I thought the shadow shooting his machine gun or whatever. I thought that was brilliant. Like the
Nah, all
lighting,
that stuff's
the
too
the
abstract
way
for
it's
me,
done.
man.
I
It's
thought it was
too
great.
it's too what is it, like, surreal, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah,
he
yeah,
pushes it too far, man, like for my taste, but
yeah,
whatever, that's just me.
yeah, yeah.
But like more of
Um,
those guys here that look like they could be out of like just this reminds me of like the Dark Knight or something, the way these square heads on these guys or whatever, you know what I mean? Very sort of like Frank Miller-ish or whatever. But they're also invoking Sergio Leone, you know what I mean, or like any kind of roughneck gang,
Yeah. Well, the
cross the
story is
border
the
dudes.
story starts out. You have the whole nuclear Chernobyl thing going on, and that is kind of the past. And then you go to present day, and it's Havoc and Wolverine, and they've gone on vacation together, and they're just hitting all of these bars in Mexico, getting trashed or whatever. And they have this bet going on that the first person uses their mutant powers has to pay for all of the drinks on their little vacation that they're having. And so they come across these different things, and Wolverine, being the roughneck or whatever, he has the fight, gets into a fight with some Mexican hombres. uh, they say something about his mother, he says something about
So
their
smart.
sister, so they get into this big fight, and they're like saying, I didn't use my mutant powers, which that is a huge thing in the X-Men. Whenever they're playing basketball or whatever, they're always like, "No powers, no powers," and then invariably somebody always uses their powers, or they'll be attacked by Magneto or whatever, and then have to use their powers. So that's it's classic X-Men. I love some of the little shout outs to the X-Men that they put in here.
Yeah, I mean, like it felt like a fairly, not to be the pessimist on the side, but it felt like a fairly generic, X-Men setup. Wolverine in a dive bar and he's in a fight with some people. Like we've seen
Yeah,
that 20 billion times, you know what I mean? And it's just
yeah.
like, here's his one more time, like
I
I
love
didn't
this
find that
page.
particularly original or anything, but
I
like
love this page. I love
yeah,
her
yeah.
right
I
here.
mean, all
Love
the
her
art
here.
on this side is brilliant. You know what I mean? The
It's
guy's
got
really good.
so much movement. You got the
Yep.
car here, not even moving or anything. It's like framing the whole page, the whole panel.
Like
So
I
when
said,
they're
all this
running
stuff.
at you,
Um,
it's really fantastic.
I feel like this stuff is all like photographed from Rebel Without a Cause. I bet you
Reference,
watch the
yeah.
movie. You know
It
what I mean?
it
You
is
probably
it
find all
is
these
super
shots there.
reference.
Um,
All of the
but it's
stuff is
still
super
it's
reference.
beautiful. I mean, I think it was gorgeous. You know what I mean? And it reminds me almost of that guy who did the Rocketeer, like if but painted. You know what I mean? Like it kind of reminds me of his
Yeah.
stuff or whatever.
He
Because it's so period looking. You know
Dave
what I mean?
Stevens. Dave Stevens?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Dave Sim, but I know that's the
No, Dave
Cerberus
Steve.
guy or
I think it's
whatever.
Dave Stevens.
So like, yeah, I'll have to take your word on
Yeah,
that one. So I'm not
yeah,
sure,
yeah,
but yeah, you know what I mean. Like this great looking face of her with the car reflecting in
yeah,
her eyes.
yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
beautiful stuff, dude.
yeah.
These really great looking faces right here as the car speeds along. And we get another
So
very sort of generic, sort of like she's like, oh, oh, you're stealing my car and you're kidnapping me. And she's just like,
right,
oh,
right.
it's not a
Well,
big
let's back up.
deal.
Let's
Like,
back up and say the
I'm a cool
story.
chick.
Let's back up and say the story. So they get into that fight with the Mexicans, and then they kind of end that, and they go back to their hotel room, and they're just kind of. This is where we discover that they're on vacation and it's no powers and all of this kind of stuff. And so it's the
Right?
next morning, and there's a knock on the door, and it's those self same Mexicans that are uh, coming after them. Only this time they have guns and stuff. So they're like, "Oh, you know, let's run from this instead of blowing away," because they could have used their powers and blown them away, easily enough. But they don't. They decide to run, and so they grab this woman who's just sitting there with her car. Which you're right, it's very convenient. It's very. I think the whole book is very spy oriented,
The
super
numbers.
spy, 007, James Bond kind of stuff. Which
Is that
it's
right? Is that kind of
Russian.
how it feels going forward? I mean, I didn't get that from this, but maybe it feels like that as the issues go forward.
Oh
I mean, I
yeah,
could kind of
it's
like
definitely.
as you say that. I mean, I could see that a little bit with the Soviet setup thing like
Yeah,
that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. And I mean, she's a classic James Bond villainess or whatever, where she just happens, like you were saying, she happens to be there when they're running from the Mexicans. She just happens to have a car that they just happen to take from her and kidnap her, which they're not very good X-Men for doing that, but
yeah, I mean, like, she's just so calm about it. She's just like so
yeah,
cool, like,
yeah,
oh, I got to look good in my job or whatever. And she's putting, lipstick on and she's being
yeah,
kidnapped.
yeah,
And she wants to make sure she looks hot for her kidnappers, obviously, like,
yeah, yeah.
and then,
Um, Well, then, because it's a chase scene, the Mexicans are chasing them, and I'm thinking as I'm reading this, I'm like, man, car chases in comic books suck. Can you think of a good car chase scene in a comic book?
I tried to do one, once, and it's a tricky thing to do.
It
Like
is.
most of it is like, like this. You can get the car's tires
Yeah,
off the ground. That's
like
that's a
Sin
big
City,
one.
kind of like Sin
Um,
City.
dude, like I literally like the one I drew is photo reference mostly from a actual car chase. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
And it takes about, I'm gonna say it takes 1, 2, 3, probably 4, probably 6 pages. I want to say because there's at least one double page splash.
yeah,
And it's a tricky thing to do.
It,
It takes a
it,
bit of time to even feel like it is a car chase in a
yeah,
comic. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like doing it like this. Let's see. This is they get in the car here, and then they're taking off, and the car chase actually begins at the beginning of this page. And then we really don't have too much of it until the end of this page again. You know what I mean? Let's see. Um, and then like we're really in it right here. We got this one. And this one, does it continue on to that one? Yeah, that's a minute. You know what I mean? And it's still going
yeah,
over here on this
yeah,
side or whatever. And that's
yeah,
kind of what it takes, I think, is like my main, you know what I mean? Like it's one thing to be like this, where it's like we're speeding off. And you could do that in a couple of shots or whatever, you know what I mean? But to really give the sensation of a car chase, I feel like you've got to at least commit 4 pages, 4 or more pages, you know what I mean?
yeah. And
Just
it's
because
super hard because I mean, you really have to put all of the movement in the chase scene
uh-huh.
that you
And
possibly
then
can.
it's recreating the car again and again and again correctly, you know what I mean? And that's hard for a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people, like
Also, I think even though, like I say, changing not so much camera angles, but changing like close-ups and
yeah.
stuff like that. I think in a car chase, you almost don't want close-ups because these panels where it has the close-ups of the characters, they just don't add to the intensity of what a
I
car
don't know.
chase
See,
is.
we're going to disagree again, dude, because I think that's really integral. That's probably one of the best shots in the thing. You see how they're in the reflection
Yeah,
in the window right here, or
yeah,
whatever. We got
they're
that close up
good.
of the eyes. It makes perfect sense to me cinematically. I see it exactly like it's supposed to be. They come over the hill, whoa, and then we zoom in on this close up. He's rolling the window down. We're seeing the bad guy for the first time, and he leans out the window, with his gun or whatever,
Yeah.
and now we're over here on this side and the tire is burning, screech, he hits the brakes and turns off, to the right or whatever. And then
See
they go
that
zooming
that
by.
that right here, I felt like it should have been an overhead view. I didn't feel like they showed a turning car very well at all.
Yeah, I got it. You know what I mean? Like I had no problem reading any of this stuff. And the cars are beautifully drawn, again and again and again. And when you talk to most artists, and this is like 90% of all artists, they're gonna tell you they hate drawing cars.
Yep, me too. I'm one of
You
them.
know,
Cars
I
suck
don't
to
hate
draw.
it so much, but it's really hard. It's hard to do it over and over again and keep it straight. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
admire
yeah,
anybody that does it and that can do it. And then the car chase is still going on, and this is cool. It does get insanely hard to read later on. There's one page that I was like, "Whoa, this page is crazy looking hard to read." But I mean, I figured it out after a minute. But some of these panels do get a little confusing. You know what I mean? Because like they bleed into the other side and kind of like empty
yeah,
ways that make you feel like it's like you're supposed to be reading it across, but you're not. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's still really cool. So he punches bad guy, punches a hole through the roof with this giant fist, and just comes out with this massive laser cannon. He's looking like one of the villains from like what am I thinking of? Freaking Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, or you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
Space Hunter or something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this dude looked like he'd be right out of Space Hunter.
I'm underwhelmed by the bad guys.
Yeah, it's pretty generic looking bad guy, but I liked it. You know what I mean? Like because it's the '80s or whatever. This might be the '90s or is this the '80s?
No, 80, it's 88. Well, I think they're trying to continue that spy. I think they wanted to keep away from the Magneto or
Yeah,
Juggernaut kind of, super villains. I think these guys, because these are human beings, and I think they wanted to keep away from the mutant bad guys.
this is the year I graduated high school.
88. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another sort of very surrealistic image. You know what I mean? With them all
Yeah.
looks like maybe there might be some like some no, not
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
charcoal,
Charcoal. Yeah.
and what's the other one? Maybe some like chalk or something on this or
I
something.
think
Maybe.
it's pastels. It's dry charcoal pastels along with watercolor. This stuff's here's
Yeah, that's all
watercolor.
watercolor
And
right
then
here.
or I'd
Yeah.
say a lot of it's watercolor and then they throw some pastels, chalk
Yeah,
pastels on it.
I'm
I don't like
less.
it.
Yeah, I couldn't really say how the mediums on this are or whatever. You would know more than
Yeah.
me because you actually paint this
I
stuff and
I
it
think
looks good.
I think they should have gone way more detailed with this one, and then like just kind of a little bit less detail. You don't have to have, you know, since there's not a lot of detail, they should have had like 10 or 15 of them. You know.
Yeah, I question. That's what I mean. Like, I question why you're doing it as a double page spread if you're just gonna
Yeah.
go
Right.
like this and like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
lightly pencil
Exactly.
it. Like this doesn't even feel right. Like this feels like a smaller drawing that is really zoomed in on or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
just because like look how big some of these like pencil lines are. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that doesn't feel
And
like
then
they
this
really.
looks cool, but in the background, you know, if you had like 5 or 6 of these guys that are really
Right.
detailed up front, and then you have guys that are, you know, shaded in the background, because like I said, you can't take, you know, 2 months on a page.
Right. And then, so car chase is still going on. And this is some pretty wacky stuff where it's getting into like a Miyazaki freaking, level of
Yeah,
weirdness here where they're on a
yeah,
rope bridge. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, the rope bridge is crumbling as they're driving across it, which is just ridiculous, but whatever. It's a comic book. It's all just fun. And then our, evil, spy chick right here with the nice boobs.
yeah.
And the car,
Too much photo reference. You're right.
so
That was what I thought. You know, back in 1988, that's what I thought.
yeah, dude, I guarantee you all these shots like this or like this face right here. I bet you
Yeah,
could find all of them in Rubble Without a Cause. You know what I mean? All the
probably,
cars, you know what I mean?
probably,
I bet you both of these cars are in Rubble Without a Cause. You know what I mean? Because it
probably.
just
Yeah,
looks too, you know.
yeah,
And then we get back to the Bill Sienkiewicz thing over here, big time with Havoc finally using
yeah,
his powers for the first time, and he's going
yeah.
full
He's like, screw
Sienkiewicz.
it.
And
Drinks
the
are
car
on
is
me.
flying. Let's not forget about this. The car that's pursuing them falls the rope bridge back here. I
Yeah,
guess is what we
yeah,
were meant to assume. Even though it doesn't really show it ever.
yeah,
He's just right there. Then there. Oh, I guess we're meant to understand that they destroy the bridge as they're coming off of it. I mean,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
barely
Yeah.
make it to
I
the other
mean,
side,
you can see that.
and then
You can see it.
vaguely, I guess we're told that the bridge just crumbles behind them, and
Yeah,
then it doesn't really make sense because she's saying, "Oh, I guess maybe I don't know." And now they're in the front of them. Now I guess like now maybe they pop up in the front. I guess because they're flying, and
yeah,
then he shoots
yeah.
it.
That's when he whips out his superpowers.
Yeah, he whips it out there and
And then she shoots him. Like,
and as soon as she sees that, she's like, "Okay, this is the guys I'm looking for." She
yeah,
was just waiting for them to reveal their powers, and making sure that they're the dudes that they wanted. And she shoots them all up with a couple of, we assume it's a gun or whatever because it's just a silencer, but
yeah.
it ends up not being necessarily just bullets.
He even says it, silencer.
Yeah. Well, and it's got this, kind of
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
effect or whatever. And then she has to put a couple more in Wolverine, get him down.
yeah,
Havoc goes down pretty fast, but she got to put a few more in Wolverine to get him to go all the way down. And even then, we cut over here to this major Bill Sienkiewicz page. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Just like
Super Bill, Super Sienkiewicz.
super Bill Sienkiewicz. But it also reminds me of like this is again like reminds me of the Dark Knight a little bit.
Yeah, yep, yeah,
Just the art style and the faces. The
yeah,
character and the faces and stuff. That kind of thing. And
yeah,
obviously the grid. You know what I mean? He's doing the 12 panel grid here essentially too or whatever. He's just using two here on this side and you got him over here, but very cool stuff. And Wolverine wakes up and is being told that he has the plague and that he's going to die within the day and that Havoc is already dead.
yeah,
They buried him already because plague victim, you got to get him into the ground fast. And this page fades out with these guys just being like, he's gonna be dead by tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
and Wolverine just like, what? Like, how am I even sick? Like, I should not even be sick. No matter what, So he pops up and he's like checks himself where the bullets go through, even though he's already healing from it. And he pulls out this little sort of drug bullet, I guess, is what
Yeah,
it is. We're meant to think,
plague
some
bullet.
some sort of little capsule. It's got like some sort of poison plague inside of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he goes down again, but not long later, he's already up and on his feet.
So later on, you said you haven't read the other issues, which is
Uh-uh.
really memorable. There's a part where his Wolverine's arm is either burned off or chopped up or something, where all you see is his um, bones. You see his arms, and then it grows back. So that was like the big memorable scene from these books.
I do have part 3. I'll have to take a look at it. You know what I mean, just to see what the
Yeah.
art is. Does it does it continue in the like the 2 flashback thing, like with the with the meltdown art and then the Havoc Wolverine art or whatever? You know what I mean?
No,
Does
it's
it
it's
continue in
all
that?
no, it's all. I don't think there's
It's
any
all this guy. It's all the John Jones guy or whatever. Or who is
John J.
this?
Moose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. Okay. So John J. Muth is the. I
he's
think
half.
John J. Is the dude doing all the silhouettes or whatever, and then Kent Williams is the guy doing.
No, John J. Moose is doing the highly photo reference stuff.
Now, so there's 2 different dudes doing these pages at the same time. Is that
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
happening?
Remember, I told you it's interesting
Oh,
that he does. Moose does the Havoc art, and Kent Williams does the Wolverine art. So
I
any
thought.
pages that has primarily Wolverine, like these, are
Well,
all
who's doing this
Kent
stuff?
Williams. These are all Kent Williams. I don't know who's doing that stuff. They
That's what
probably
I want to know. Who's doing this stuff at the beginning? Because whoever's doing this, I felt like was not the same artist as who's doing this. You know what I mean? Like,
no. I bet this is John J. Moose. I bet this is all John J. Moose stuff, and then all of the Wolverine stuff is Ken Williams. So all of the super reference stuff is John J. Moose.
I would
Like
have to.
this is all
That
Ken
is a
Williams.
bizarre way to work. How did they even do that,
Yeah,
dude? Like, you
yeah.
know what I mean?
It
Like,
is weird.
no wonder it took so long. I mean, you know what I mean? And who's doing these pages? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't have Havoc or
Yeah,
Wolverine in it. You know what I
yeah. I
mean?
don't
Like,
know.
you
I don't
know,
know.
it's super
I
confusing,
bet
dude.
they
Like,
I bet they like I bet Kent Williams or John J. Moose does the beginning, and then Kent Williams does all of the stuff that doesn't have Havoc in it.
yeah, that's super
I would bet.
confusing.
I would bet. I don't
But
know
like,
though.
this page was really hard to read. I thought, you know what I mean? Because it was like you go from here to here, and then here,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah.
go to
Super.
here, but then you're supposed to go to here, then here, then here, then
Yeah,
here, then here,
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And it
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was just wrong.
yeah, dude, this is
Although,
a terrible page to read.
yeah, yeah, horrible, horrible. I don't understand how
Horrible.
an editor. How can an editor who knows anything, Archie could know?
Archie Goodwin, dude. Yeah, I've
It
been doing
even
it
has two
for 30
editors.
years.
It has
Yeah,
two editors, Margaret Clark and Steve Baccalato.
dude.
How could they look at this page and be like, how the hell am I supposed to read this?
Yeah, that makes
It's,
sense. Like,
it's
you have
horrible.
to go over this page. Like, and you and I are skilled comic book readers. You know what I mean? It's like, when you lose a guy like us, you're
Yeah, yeah,
really, you know what I
exactly,
mean?
exactly.
You're having a hard time because it's like, we're used to, understanding the way things are usually built on the falling down method, where
Yep,
it's like you're following as it goes across or as it falls down the page, but it goes down and then goes back up and then goes down and
yep,
goes back up and goes
yep.
down. This thing's all over the
There was
place.
another page here. I'll see if I can find it where it's similar, um, but it's okay because they do something to kind of accommodate it. But I don't know.
Sometimes, yeah, like the art or sometimes like the way things are pointing can help you or whatever.
Well,
But this thing
like
is confusing
I
as
often
hell.
say, like a good way to instead of using the arrow, the dreaded arrow, which I talked about a lot in my reviews, instead of using the arrow, put a word balloon there connecting panels, and they do that. They do that
I
actually in
do
one of
that.
the pages.
I actually do that same thing. Like I will put the word bubble between a panel,
Yeah,
between the
yeah,
panel, like in the panel you're supposed to go to or whatever,
yeah.
like I will do that. That's something I definitely do.
there's several ways you can do it without using a friggin' arrow, which
Yeah,
they don't use the arrow here. They should have on that page.
they probably should have on that page. Yeah, if you ever needed one, that page definitely did. That
So,
reminds me of like John Buscema. A lot of those early John Buscema Conans have that arrow in it or
do they have
whatever.
the arrow?
Yeah, so does a lot of like early Neil Adams stuff and some like some of those early Teen Titans with
George
um
Perez?
George Perez. Yeah, have the arrow in them because they have they're packed full of panels. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And like
yeah.
sometimes you just like I need that arrow to put you along the way. But
The
these, you know,
arrow is a failure. If you're using
you
the
know, like
arrow, you're failing.
that little Wolverine right there, you know, like that's cool as heck looking, dude. You know what I mean? Like this art on these pages is pretty badass, even though it's hard to read. You know, like
Are
still
you?
very cool looking stuff. You know what I mean? Like I really like those faces.
All right,
This
so wait a
one
minute.
too, you know,
Let's
really
back up
nice. I mean,
Let's back up story wise. So Wolverine wakes up, and then they tell him that Havoc is dead, and then
yeah,
so
he
he
comes back.
believes it. I don't know why he believes it. I mean, I guess part of him believes it, part of him doesn't. So he's like, well, I'm going to go to the gravesite and
Yeah, he's trying to come to
figure out.
terms with what's
I got to
going
see for
on or whatever.
myself.
And he gets up, you know, he's already getting better. They're all like, I can't believe this guy's not dead. Like we pumped so much plague in him enough to kill a dozen guys. But
Yeah,
it's Wolverine. And then we're again seeing those. I mean, he makes it look pretty cool. Those Danny DeVito level, like, you know, those short legs and those insane long arms or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I just keep thinking about Danny DeVito whenever I look at that. But he makes it look like he looks like a, you know, 5 foot tall John Barenthal or something a little bit. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Pretty
Felix
cool.
Malandano said Havoc art by Mutt and Wolverine art by Williams. I think he means Moose. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
talking about how it's they
How
split the
bizarre
duties.
that is. And he's got these really weird, like, oh, what are those guys? The freaking the court jester with the bells on the end of their
Oh
thing,
yeah,
you know.
I see. I love his hair like that. I think that's awesome.
It's pretty wild. Like I said, that reminds
Yeah,
me of the, you know, the Sam Keith Wolverine if you were trying to paint it as a real
yeah,
thing or
yeah.
whatever. And he comes
I'm
down
sure
and he
Sam
just like,
Keith took that from this, or was
yeah, I'm not
inspired by
sure
it.
who comes from. I think Sam Keith comes before this. Like I'm pretty sure like Sam
88?
Keith had already done his Wolverine stuff before this. Yeah.
Nah, no,
This stuff like
because that's
86, like
late.
85.
Right, but that's late in the run of Marvel Presents. That's like in the 90s. Marvel Presents.
Mm. Yeah, maybe I mean you
But
could
I
be right.
don't
I
for
really
sure.
don't. But yeah, so anyways, Wolverine's distraught and he's come to the headstone and he's gonna kneel down and, you know, pay his last respects. But you know, Wolverine's got the sniffer from heck, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And he's like a
yeah,
wild animal. And he catches a whiff of something strange. And he knows, like, you know, as soon as he like it pops up into his primitive mind, you know, it's like that's not that's not Alex, you know what I mean? Like he's
yeah.
like this, you know, and he rips the
Typical
tomb off.
Wolverine fashion.
Yeah, he goes full on berserker, and that's another great image right there. You know,
Yeah,
really cool. You know, beautiful
lots of
looking.
movement.
Yeah, lots of real kinetic feeling or whatever. I love the, you know, sound effects. Like I'm a big sound effects guy. Like I know a lot of like places don't use the sound effects that much anymore. But I personally think the sound effects are a big part of every page. Like you got to have the big sound effects, but that's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
I love this one right here. Really cool. Another good shot. This reminds me, this whole scene reminds me a little bit of the end of Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, you know, when they're digging up the tomb or whatever, you know, in that
yeah.
big Mexican graveyard.
I love how his face is all in shadow under here.
Yeah, yeah. It's a real strong image right there or whatever, you know. Real crazy proportions on the figure, super Bill Sienkiewicz proportions on all that stuff, you know.
Yeah,
Real splattery, real existentially sort of just like dreamlike looking images or whatever, you know. And he pops the little claws and gets in there deep and pulls the tomb out, only to discover there's a big old pinata in there.
yeah.
And that's basically where we're left off or whatever
And
with
now
this sort of,
Wolverine's pissed.
yeah, like this
I
sort of
love this
cliffhanger
page.
that, you know, which is kind of the thing I talked about earlier, where it was just like there was not much story in this. You know what I mean? Like it was a very long form thing that barely went anywhere. It's kind of what I felt like, you know.
Well, the story is all in the beginning. All of this is massive story, and you really need to delve into that to really appropriately appreciate, I think, the Wolverine. And because I mean, it switches gears from this like techie stuff, nuclear reactor, which I think that they really wanted to do. In my mind, if this is a movie, you're doing this flashback and stuff, and then you're hearing a big crash, and then you're seeing Wolverine doing all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, it's a gorgeous book. It just takes a long time to tell that not much story. You know what I mean? Like I'm not complaining about any of it. I see it's very cinematic. This thing is really,
Yeah,
just like you said, it's really trying to be, you know, a little bit of a film or whatever. Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
it's really approaching itself like every scene is, you know, 3 seconds of being of time on the screen or whatever before it gets, you know, cut to the next scene or whatever. And I mean,
yeah,
all comics
yeah.
is like that. But this guy's taking quite a while to tell, like, you know, but you know, I get that because this whole book is, you know, it's painted, you know, so it's a prestige thing or whatever. You know, they're looking at you to like you want to experience every page like it's a piece of art, you know.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
not wrong, you
I
know.
think that the problem is the genre. I think, like I was saying, it's supposed to be like a spy thing, and I think that it's a bad genre for Wolverine and Havoc.
It feels
Like,
more like Quentin
yeah,
Tarantino, like Mexican cantina thing
a
to
little
me,
bit.
you know,
Yeah,
like, you
a
know, it
little
feels
bit.
more like that, you know, it feels more like Dust Till Dawn or something, you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
you know,
right.
like
But
that kind of
you've got
thing.
all these Russian influences and all that stuff. All this, like I said, the techie stuff in the very beginning, which really
Yeah.
kind of I think it bogs it down a little bit.
It's weird because it doesn't play into anything on this side in the beginning of the story. I'm assuming as the story goes on, you know what I mean? Like that whole Chernobyl thing will somehow come into play or whatever. Like I was assuming like it was going to have like somebody was going to get their powers from it, or there was something in there that was going to come out of
Right.
it or something.
No,
You know what I
no.
mean? Like
It's all setting up the doctor. What's his name? Doctor Radium or
yeah,
Doctor
Doctor
Neutrino?
Neutron.
Yeah, Doctor
Yeah, Doctor
Neutron. It's
Neutron.
all setting up the villain Doctor Neutron and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I didn't, you know what I mean? Like it didn't really mesh that great for me. But they're both, you know, two cool stories, two cool sides, both well written. I wonder if maybe like Louise Simonson wrote like, you know, this first part and then he did all the other stuff or something,
Maybe,
or you know what I
maybe
mean?
that's possible.
Because the writing styles feel very different, you know, from this side to this side, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but that's
Do
Havoc
you think
Wolverine.
it would have been better if they'd just been like uh Magneto or Lady Deathstrike or something like
I
that
don't
instead
know.
of going the
I'm
spy.
curious. Like, do you have the whole set of these? How many is it? Is
I
it
don't.
four?
I have two and three. I don't. I think I have four, but you know, it's in my comic boxes somewhere. Which I love the covers. I love this cover.
Well, here it says on the back. It says Sherilyn Van Valkenburg, pages 4 and 5. So she must do these or whatever. I think that's 4 and 5 right there.
One, two, three, four, 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Is that 4 and 5? One, two. No, that's three. This is four, and that's five.
Yeah. So I guess she did these. Like I don't know. And then
Huh.
yeah, it
That's
says
weird.
Sherilyn Van Valkenburg, pages 4 and 5. Ballard Borick and John J. Muth, interior covers,
Yeah.
and Alex J. logo design. Interior covers. Oh, these
Which
things.
I don't love the logo.
And these interior covers are whack too. Like I wouldn't be like, yeah, I'd be
Well,
like,
they remind me of um, Discovery, Star Trek
oh,
Discovery.
yeah, the opening of Discovery or whatever. Yeah, the little
Yeah.
like where
The
it
intro,
shows the
the
diagrams
intros.
of everything drawn out or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Art's art is like that. It's meant to be you know what I mean? Like some people will get it, some people won't. You know,
Yep.
someone will look at something and find it amazing. Another
Yep.
person will look at it and wonder why anybody likes it. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
Yep. I love it, except for
it
the
is. It's
extreme photo reference stuff.
it's a lot of like. I mean, I don't hate that. That doesn't like lose me or nothing. You know, I don't. I
Yeah.
don't. It's you know what loses me more than that is this bizarre contrast of the two styles, like stuff like this, which looks right out of like Bill Sienkiewicz. This looks like it could be in that Shadow book you were doing. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
it just looks just like that stuff or whatever. And I don't really necessarily vibe on that thing too much. And then you know you go from that to this stuff that's super photo referenced. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
gets a little jarring. You know, like it's just a little jarring or whatever.
I feel like the
I'm
photo reference stuff slows everything down.
I bet it does. I bet this slows the art getting done now. And it doesn't work on everything. You know what I mean? Some pages like
I'm
this, it
talking
works.
about story. I think it slows story down.
I think it does too. It's just, well, you know why? Because you're like, that's kind of the weird thing about it is it's just like, you know, when you treat each thing like it's its own art page, then people do tend to get lost just, you know, contemplating the page instead of like
Yeah.
really being absorbed into the story or whatever. And I think I definitely found that issue in this is just constantly, you know, it's bouncing me back and forth between too many things, you know what I mean, to really
Yeah.
become more involved in the story, I think is what I'm having trouble with, you know, like I don't think any of the art is bad or like any of it is like, oh, this doesn't work. It's all serviceable, but it's quite jarring, you know, to get, you know, you're just like, I don't know, man, the styles are just all over the place. But some of it works better than others. And I'd say the car chase scene is probably the best part of it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like he put his back into that thing the most, and it really kind of pays off beautifully. And I mean, some of these shots here, like that page is gorgeous. You know, this page is beautiful. That blue sky, you know, her red lipstick matching the red of the car, the red of the stop sign, you know, and then just all the red and blue contrasting back and forth on all the images. You know what I mean? Like probably that's what makes me think like all this stuff is probably in Rebel Without a Cause or whatever, because it
Yep.
looks like it's got real cinematography stuff put into it. You know what I mean? Like someone like who really knows what they're doing was planning out a lot of these shots. And so if you're just painting them, they come across beautifully, you know what I mean? Because they've already been well organized as a film, you know. All this
Yeah.
stuff is really I think the art is beautiful. The story is serviceable. And I am curious to know, you know what I mean? Where the story goes at this point, because it does, you know, like at least take you to an intriguing edge and drop you off of it, you know. And if the
Right.
art continues on like this, but you know, dude, like I definitely bought part 3 and then that was it. You know, I never went back and got another one. And I think it just feels too cold for me, you know what I mean? It
Yep.
doesn't feel warm or intimate. Alex Ross's stuff, like when Alex Ross paints, there's a sort of warm intimacy. You know, his stuff feels more like Norman Rockwell or something like that. You know what I mean? And this stuff just feels very, I don't
But
know,
like I
man.
said,
It's
I think the big thing is that it's a spy story. Uh, like so much of how good or bad a story is because of the villain, and the villain is nowhere to be found in this issue. And
yeah,
so it's
I
they
honestly
got no
didn't
real good bad guy to fight.
like. I didn't like when I was reading this. I was like, oh, this is like a James Bond spy story thing. That was not what I vibed on at all. Like it felt more
Huh.
like Desperado or like From Dusk Till Dawn. You know what I mean? Like as
Well, the
far as
bad
like
guys are the Russians.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I didn't get that either. You know what I mean? Like, I did not get that. Like, it felt
Yeah.
like a Mexican hospital with Mexican doctors. It felt like he was being followed by a bunch of banditos.
Huh.
The guys in the flying car felt like they were out of a heavy metal magazine.
Right.
I like nothing connected me to the Russian story at the beginning.
Huh.
Like nothing in the other part connected me to the Russian story at the beginning. I got none of that. Now, maybe you read the second issue and it kind of helped you connect all of it or something, but like I didn't get any of that from this. Like I
Well,
said, it felt
just the fact that it starts in Chernobyl, and
yeah,
that's heavily Russian stuff. I just assumed that they were all. Russian spies.
I didn't get any of that. Like
Huh.
I didn't like when I was done reading this, I did not understand why it has the Chernobyl thing at the beginning of it at all. I
Huh.
do not understand how it connects to this story in any
Yeah.
way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like I didn't get any of that. But it's still a cool enough premise to where I'm curious. You know what I mean? To where like I closed it, because like about halfway through it, I was like, I'm not enjoying this. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where it's
Yeah.
going. It doesn't seem very good. But when it was done, I definitely could step back and say, like, okay, well, that's a cool enough premise with him pulling him up out of the ground and him smelling that it's not really him inside the tomb or whatever, and
Right.
trying
Right.
to fake him dying or whatever. So then it becomes like that's what made me think like, oh, it was like, is this some sort of flashback thing? And like Alex is maybe inside Chernobyl or something when it went off, and that's like they're trying to tell some story like that, like
Right.
so. I don't know. I knew they was going to connect somehow. I just didn't get it at all from reading this one.
Right.
But still, that's just doesn't mean everybody felt like that. Maybe other people read it and got it perfectly like you did or whatever. Like
Well, I liked it. So, if you were going to give it a score, what would you give it?
I would give it a 3.5 out of 10.
Wow,
That was the
3.
story.
That's horrible. So you really didn't like it. I
I
would
would
give
give it.
it. I would give the art like an 8, and the story maybe a 7. So I'm going to give it a 7.5.
I would give the story a 3.5. I mean, honestly, I would give the story a 3. I would give
Yeah.
the art 9, but I would give the storytelling a 4. Okay,
Yeah.
because like
Yeah.
the storytelling is terrible. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
far as like the art telling the story from panel to panel, it's not good at all.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
art is
Definitely.
gorgeous. The art gets a 9 out of 10. It's beautiful. You know what I mean? And the story just, I don't, it doesn't make any sense to me, even though I was vaguely able to follow it. But, not exactly my cup of tea as far as that goes, but still very cool comic book, very well known piece of work, a very beautiful painted piece of work. And these guys probably worked on this for years. Like you said, this first book probably represents, quite a while. Um,
Yeah.
I was looking at some of your videos, man, and I was looking at that painted cover that you still haven't finished for Entropy Alliance. It's so good,
Oh
Alex. You
yeah.
got to
Yeah.
finish that.
Well, you said you were going to do the cover, so then I kind of
I
was
am,
like,
but you're still
well,
like you got to
all right.
finish that so we could put it up as a pinup or something, and or a back cover, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or anything, dude. Like that thing is
Yeah.
beautiful. You have to finish it, Alex. You have
All
to.
right. All
And
right.
the
I'll
other thing
finish it.
too is you need to color that Dark Angel and Robin pinup, dude, because we definitely need that for the first issue because we're missing a page to make everything
Okay.
the right page or whatever. So definitely finish that Dark Angel pinup. And you were talking about your you had your uh Robert E. Howard and
Yep.
HP Lovecraft comic up, and you were looking at
Yep.
it. Very cool comic, a lot of fun. I'm, excited to see you finish that one day. But you know what, dude? Like, I was thinking, like, those two guys are a little bit like me and you. Like, me and you are a little bit like Robert E. Howard and HP Lovecraft. We've never met each other. We've only just been buddies from like,
Yeah. 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 You're right.
we do the essentially the modern version of just writing letters to each other and stuff as we do all of our stuff digitally, and we're still two creative cohorts that both make similar materials but both have their own singular identity of across from what we do and that kind of thing.
Yep.
And we may be like reincarnations of Robert E. Howard and HP Lovecraft. I'm Robert E. Howard.
Only not. Neither of us is super racist.
Yeah, no, that, with just a little bit more modern context because we weren't raised in the movies in the
Yeah.
1930s. But yeah, so me and Alex are comic book creators. Alex is the creator of Morgrim the Savage Cyclops, which I believe is very close to finishing its Kickstarter run. But Alex has definitely made his all of his Kickstarter limitations, and everybody's going to be getting one of those fantastic Morgrim busts that you're seeing right there. I see you're getting a little close to getting some of those more finished up. They were looking a little rough last time around, but getting like
Yeah.
all the
Yeah. Well, they're not going to be painted.
how many of those things you got to make?
33.
Yeah. How many do you have done?
These two. It'll
You
happen
are
though.
busy. You're gonna be a busy little bunny.
It'll happen. I've got the mold and I've got everything. I could do, 2 or 3 a day, so I'm good.
So yeah, Alex and I are the creators of Entropy Alliance, and this is the original black and white version. But very shortly, we're going to be featuring a color version of the stuff, and I'll throw these up as a little bit of teasers for people. There's some Alex's art in color. People get a
I
little
really love
excited.
that page.
I really like this one a lot. I like the shiny on the floors and a little mop and everything.
She,
Like
she's using her mop to fend them off.
that's what ladies do when you got a mop in your hand. Just give them a smack. But these are a lot of fun. Super cool seeing these in color for the first time. Here's some of Jamie Barrow's work that'll be in the book as well.
I love
Super
that
fun.
one.
Apex Force, I kind of got the vibe that Apex Force was him vibing on X Force, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I kind of tried to give it like those Rob Liefeld kind of colors a little bit, you know what I mean? Like we got the brown and gold guy like Cougar was back in the day, and just trying to like keep those colors like really fresh and like interesting. This stuff was very X Force inspired, these like colored backgrounds like this. And here's a big old green
Yeah,
explosion
I love that. I love that.
spawn or something like that. Yeah, Jamie, super fun to color. So that's going to be coming down the pipeline. And Entropy Alliance 2 has taken a little longer than I expected to get done, but that's because we wanted to re-release the first book in color to go with it. So I apologize that this has taken a little bit longer than I would have liked for it to take, but I promise people when it lands, it's going to be well worth it. What's going on with you, bud?
Just the Morgram, you're right. The Kickstarter is almost done. I think there's 3 more days left, and everybody's going to get one of these busts. I just got a backer today, so we will see. And I guess a lot of Kickstarters, they get a lot of backers the last few hours, so we will see how many I end up with. But I'm looking forward to doing a Kickstarter for the Entropy Alliance 1 and 2. I think that's going to be super fun.
Yeah, people are going to be excited. It's going to be really fun. The exciting thing about a book like this, even like Morgram too, is that when you do a book that looks that great, people are always going to come back. It's going to sell for a long time. It's going to sell again and
Yeah.
again and again. And the more of every time you come out with a new issue, it's going to make people want to get the old ones. So
Yep.
now you have issue 2, now you have issue 3, now you have issue 4. Oh, now somebody just discovers they got to get issue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You know what I mean? And it just keeps selling and selling and selling when you put that level of work into the book. And on top of that, Alex is also the creator of Random Access, and that's a random access Hydra for all kinds of different amazing artists. And that's the really great thing about random access is, you just don't know who you're going to get or what kind of rad art you're going to get in it. But just look at that right off the back, man. Just really great looking full color comics happening from random access. And for the longest time, that was a black and white book. And Alex was kind of, having a hard time keeping it full of interesting artists. But man, I have to say, all the people that are contributing these days are just really putting their backs into it, and you're getting a lot of awesome stuff. Really something to be very proud of. And I hope all the artists that are working in it are very proud of their work, because it's really it's just really starting to show all the hard work these people are putting into it.
Yeah,
Really
definitely.
really exciting, and I'm really excited for a lot of the artists, as a lot of these people have never been published at all, and this might be the first time they're getting to see their stuff in print, and that's
Yep.
like
Beverly
most.
Grimes, this is her first
Yeah,
published work.
it's so exciting to see your stuff in print for the first time and just have it in your hands for once, and to be able to set one of your comics in the bathroom and read it or whatever,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
enjoy and it's a really special thing. So that's us, and this is Comic Books from Coast to Coast for today. Hope everybody out there is staying warm and staying safe. Anything you'd like to touch base with before we get out of here, Alex?
Nope, I think that's it. I think we got it covered.
All right. Well, here we like to make more comics, but lately we've been saying make better comics. So everybody out there, make more comics, and while you're making more comics, make sure you make better comics too. Have a good day.
Thanks for watching.